Hi, Tracy Lewis from Stuff and Things. I am having some downtime in our travels. We had some brake issues, so the truck is in the shop, and we are about 3/4 of the way from Florida to get to Arizona, and our truck has been really good up until this point, and though it's not a major issue, the brakes are something that's pretty important and is a safety issue, so we decided we better stop and get them fixed. So today I am working through 3 simple stamping projects, and I'm limiting my materials. I have made some decisions, and I will talk about them as I go through each one. The first one is actually going to be Incredible Like You. I think it is an awesome beginner set. You make a card in, I think it's less than 5 minutes, and it looks like a lot more work went into it. And you can leave it unembellished or embellish it, either way works. The second and third projects will be done with Amazing Life, which I think is a great variety pack of stamps that allows you to make all sorts of cards and even extend beyond using they have a lot of neutral stamps that you can then add your own wording if you'd like, or other sentiments if you have them, to get more out of the set. So I think both of these sets are great sets. They are both available in the Occasions catalog that goes live, I think, January 3rd. And I received these as part of my onstage celebration that I went to in November. I'm going to, in the end, I decided to put the fronts, I made card fronts, and talk about the fact that the card fronts, a person could actually be stamping on the card base. So with what I've made, if this is just a really nice, they have, Stampin' Up! Has these silver edged and gold edged card bases with the matching envelopes. They were introduced in the holiday catalog, and they are extending into January through June. So a beginner stamper might stamp on this surface, or what I'm going to do is use a card front and then attach it over the top with a thinner amount of the silver showing. So I will come back shortly and share with you. I'll be sharing different aspects of each of the projects. As I go, I use colors of ink and colored pencils, so pretty limited in the materials that I chose. All right, I'm back, and I have an idea to stamp out as a beginning stamper. And I'm going to do the 2-part stamping with the flowers and the leaves, and So Glad We Are Friends sentiment. I don't get my stamparatus because as a beginning stamper I don't have such a thing. I don't even want to do colors where you have just Whisper White. Potentially it would be the card base itself that they're stamping on. I'm going to use the flowers and some stems, and then there's this one leaf. So this person probably has been out on Pinterest and looked at some fancier versions of the cards, and they're of course frustrated right off the bat because they have to stick with something simple. So I'm using this is the paper pumpkin block. I don't know what kind of blocks they will have. I'm imagining that to begin with they might not have bought more than a couple blocks. So they might have even borrowed some blocks from a friend. And I'm just going to go ahead and use this. I actually have a second one here. If they only had one, they could always do the trick where they're reversing. But I would imagine that they would just do one at a time. I will end up doing the detail stamp first. It's going to be a vertical card in my mind. I am not a good placement stamper without my stamparatus, I'll have you know, but this particular type of image I don't struggle too much with because it's more of a freeform artistic type of a stamp. So again, I'm assuming that they will have the internet to refer to get ideas from. So I am doing my layouts somewhat nice and balanced, knowing that they will be able to spend their time. They might make a couple mistakes as they're going along. Now, if they've known that they want to do the non-detail stamp lighter, they'll do a stamp off. They might even say, oh, that's too light, so I'm going to mix them. I want to have more of a variety. So this one, I'm going to do solid. I actually like that. And I'm going to do the other two this way. I find that this, you know, it's not perfect here, but it looks pretty good, I think. And I find this stamp set very easy to use, and I think a beginner would be very satisfied with it, would not find it too frustrating. There are many other stamp sets I can think of that would cause a beginner to become frustrated, but this is a great set, I think, for a beginner to enjoy and get a lot of satisfaction out of. The nice thing, this is a distinctive stamp, so it has the pixelization which controls the lights and the darks. So we're going to do that there. But I want some tendrils. So I'm a really good example of what I would say a beginner stamper using these techniques because I do not do a lot of freehand work. See, I like with these two-step stamps how you can get that detail with minimal effort. Because I'm the person that is used to working really, really hard to get my projects to look beautiful. So the idea that someone can work this little and make this card look so cool is just wonderful. So I have the sentiment already picked out. I'm going to do the friend sentiment. It's possible with this bold font that it won't be perfect, but a beginner would be totally happy. And their friends who receive, oh, they came out great. See, isn't that wonderful? Easy peasy. I had the, you could stop here. A beginner could call this done, but I was going to do a little bit more. I wanted to get a little bit of the blue sky, and the only thing I have to do a blue sky with on this set are these lines. So I am going to attempt, and at this point I'm going to grab, I didn't pull out any of my acrylic blocks, and I'm just going to see if this, yep, that'll fit. So the paper pumpkin blocks come free with paper pumpkin, and this is some sort of a set that someone was very nice and gave to me when I came back and didn't have any of my supplies. So I'm just going to do something pretty casual. The only thing I am using, I will say, I have my Stamparatus foam underneath. I could have dug up some other kind of a foam piece, but didn't want to try to find something. You could use any kind of a pad of paper. So this would be a perfect beginner card. A second card I actually stamped up in advance that I would trim down, and I was going to show coloring, this is the other one of the other sets. It's called Amazing Life, and what I like about this set, especially for a beginner, is it does a variety of different themes. So it has, you know, one thing I have found when I was starting my stamping world, I quickly got tired of the same old stamps. So I like that this set gives you a happy birthday. You can use this clever phrase, or you can use just the happy birthday with the cake and the flower. It has a yay that could also be incorporated into the birthday. So there, you could end up with 3 or 4 different birthday type cards. And I like that it comes with some borders. I am not the best at lining up borders. I tend to hand doodle the borders, but for somebody who's not good at hand doodling, having a variety, there's actually, this is one set, by the way, so it's one stamp. That little bit and that little bit are each a separate stamp, and then you have lines and more squiggles. So I like all of the squiggles that you can integrate. If for me, I do have some decent hand lettering, and I could take this set, use all of the different little bits and pieces, and make a card for any event I would need it to do. So going back to our good luck, which we have, remember, colored pencils, and I picked garden green for this. Keeping it very simple, somebody who just wants to do some basic shading in. And this is the blending tool. There's a variety, like I said, of blenders that you can have. And it just kind of makes, these are watercolor pencils specifically, so they're going to soften up and definitely take to this liquid really well. And I was thinking that my accent color, I have my Melon Mambo and I have Balmy Blue. So Balmy Blue was going to be my next color, but I might even be able to add all 3. So now I've just softened up the green, and I'm going to go back in and try to add some darker colors. Okay, so now the last thing I was thinking would be interesting with this set. There's these little dots. And they might be online and looking at Pinterest, and one of the things that these little dots are great for is just to add interest to a background. So that is what I'm going to do. So even something as simple as that, and then now, okay, I stamped it, eyeballed it. This is crooked from this, and height-wise that is not as wide as this. If I were a total beginner, I would just use this as is. If I wanted to get a little bit more advanced, I could trim this down and put it on a card base of some variety. If I wanted to add more color, you could add the melon mambo or the blue to any of these little squiggles. I don't want to get overboard with it, so I think that I would say less is more, or less is better. And there's 2 beginner cards, few colors, no layers, one with just ink and one with colored pencil. Take a few minutes and make a finished birthday card so that I have a full set of 3. And this was what I came up with. I used all of the colors that I had given the beginner stamper, the pink, the blue, the green, and then I even added a yellow. You know, this person has probably got a colored pencil set and it probably has a yellow. So I went ahead and added the yellow to the flame. And I think that this came out great, and that gives us 3 stamped images now. Ready to go. I would envision that they would just go ahead and stamp these up on a card base as is. If not, they can go ahead and, if they have a trimmer, they can cut them down. And there's all 3 of them. Finished.